From ancient burial grounds to the mummified remains of the previous owner, we take a look at the 10 creepiest things ever found in people's basements.
When Helen Weissensel of Jefferson County, Wisconsin began digging in her basement whilst renovating her house, she made a gruesome discovery. Weissensel had uncovered the skull of a child along with a wide assortment of other human remains. She notified the local authorities, who discovered that her house was actually built on top of a long-forgotten burial ground. Experts estimate that the cemetery could have been up to 170 years old and may have contained the remains of hundreds of people. Weissensel had to cease all work on her renovations until she could get approval from the State Historical Society. After 15 months, the state finally gave her permission to continue the renovations and seemed content to continue living on top of a now disturbed gravesite. In 2016, a repairman called out to a suburban home in Lansing, Illinois got a nasty shock when he ventured into the basement. After spotting movement coming from a large container, the repairman lifted the cover to discover a 6-foot-long, 200-pound live alligator staring back at him. He immediately called the authorities, who questioned the animal's owner, Charles Price. Price claimed that he had kept the alligator as a pet for more than 26 years and that he occasionally took it outside to roam around his backyard. Price reportedly obtained the alligator from a swap meet when it was just a few centimeters long. He was charged with unlawful possession of an endangered species, and the alligator was removed by the authorities. His neighbors had no idea that he was keeping the animal in the basement of his house. From the outside, Hanny's, located in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, appears to be a normal restaurant and bar. When a Reddit user found their way into the basement, however, they posted this creepy photo of what they saw. Like a scene straight out of a horror movie, creepy dolls have been arranged along a large table, just like the famous painting The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. The building used to be an old department store, but no one knows who set the dolls up or the reason for such an eerie scene. It looks as though someone has thrown coins onto the table, perhaps as an offering to appease the unsettling dolls. In 2016, a construction worker discovered a 100-year-old Ouija board buried within the walls of a house he was working on. He noticed that it had been placed upside down, leading some to speculate that the person who hid it may have done so to protect themselves. Had they contacted something sinister from the other side and hid the board in an attempt to break contact? The construction worker posted a photo of the board on Reddit, where he was warned by many readers to leave the Ouija board where he found it. In 2010, 2 women made an awful discovery while cleaning a basement in a Los Angeles apartment building. Inside a trunk wrapped in newspaper from the 1930s were 2 mummified infants, along with several pieces of Peter Pan memorabilia, including the book Peter Pan written by J.M. Barrie and a membership card to the Peter Pan Woodland Club. In a weird coincidence, the owner of the trunk was a nurse by the name of Janet M. Barrie, the same initials J.M. Barrie as the famous writer. DNA tests proved that the infants were Barrie's children, but why they were stored away in the basement of an LA apartment remains a mystery. The truth may never be known, as Barrie passed away in 1994. In 2013, a group of Ohio State College students began hearing strange noises coming from the basement of their off-campus house. In addition, the power kept going out on the 3rd floor, and someone had to venture into the basement to flip the circuit breaker. The residents also began noticing strange things around the house. Drawers were left open and lights were mysteriously turned on. On one occasion, one of the students saw a mysterious man in the basement. He said his name was Jeremy and left the house before he could be questioned further. Thinking that the house was haunted, the students ventured into the basement to investigate. There was a mysterious door that was always locked, and none of the residents had a key to open it. After hearing more noises coming from the basement, the students decided to call their landlord as well as the police. Together, they pried open the door. Inside, they discovered a room with a bed, photos, and a TV. That's when the students realized that the man named Jeremy that they had seen previously had been living in their house without them knowing. Once his room was discovered, the mysterious man packed his belongings and left. In 1998, conservationists performing repairs on US founding father Benjamin Franklin's London house made a rather gruesome discovery. In the basement of the house, located at 36 Craven Street, they uncovered the remains of more than 15 bodies, 6 of whom were children buried in a secret windowless room. It's thought that Franklin wasn't hiding the evidence of a horrific crime, but may have been covering for a friend. William Hewson, Franklin's protege, was running an anatomy school at the time and was probably using the residence to dispose of the remains. In the 18th century, human dissection for the purpose of anatomy was still ethically frowned upon, and so students had to acquire specimens illegally. This included paying grave robbers to dig up the remains of the newly deceased. In 2009, Ben and Amber Sessions purchased a home in Rexburg, Idaho. Soon after moving in, they began finding a large number of snakes in the backyard. It wasn't long before the couple, who had already had 2 children and a third on the way, began hearing strange noises in the wall and under the floor. They also noticed a funny taste in the water that Ben described as onion-like. Ben decided to investigate the sounds by removing a panel of siding. To his horror, dozens of snakes came pouring out. The couple sought the advice of a snake expert who informed them that the onion-like taste in the water was probably a result of the musk that the snakes release when they're frightened. One day while watching TV, Amber saw a story about the previous owners of her house and how they had fled due to the horrible snake infestation. The real estate agent had resold the house to the Sessions despite knowing the awful truth. Discovering that it would cost more than $100,000 to have the nest removed and a concrete slab laid under the house, the Sessions had no choice but to file for bankruptcy and move out. In 2015, police raided a home in Heikendorf, Germany after they suspected that the villa's 78-year-old owner was in possession of illegal weaponry. Stashed away in the basement of the villa was a cache of weapons that included a torpedo, anti-aircraft gun, and a 1943 Panzer tank. Prosecutors received a tip-off by authorities in Berlin who had previously searched the villa for stolen Nazi artifacts. While it took the manpower of 20 soldiers to remove the tank from the villa, the discovery came as no surprise to the local mayor, Alexander Orth, who'd told a newspaper that the owner was chugging around in that thing during the snow catastrophe in 1978. In 2007, a man named George Giro purchased a house in the town of Roses, Spain. A local bank had repossessed the house from its previous owner and put it up for auction after they had failed to make their mortgage repayments. When Giro entered the house, he was shocked to discover that the previous owner was still there. She had passed away some years ago and the salty seaside air had preserved her mummified corpse. Bizarrely, in the 6 years that the previous owner's mortgage was outstanding, the bank never sent anyone to the house to investigate. Equally as baffling was the fact that the real estate agent hadn't bothered to check the condition of the house prior to auction.
Well that was a little bit creepy. Now let us know down below in the comment section, would you spend the night in any of these creepy basements? Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button just there, because we have content just like this coming out each and every week. And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! From the sights, sounds and smells of haunted battlegrounds to the handprints of ghostly soldiers. Join us as we take a look at the 10 most haunted battlefields around the world.
There are dozens of reported ghost sightings at Battle Abbey in Normandy. The abbey was built after the Battle of Hastings in 1066, and it's the place where King Harold was killed. There is a ghost of a woman all in white who haunts the gatehouse, the altar of the abbey has reportedly been found bleeding, and long dead monks roam the grounds, and even King Harold himself has been seen wandering around with an arrow in his eye. On the anniversary of the battle, you can hear the sounds of the battle, the soldiers and their horses. The Highlands are said to be the most haunted part of all of Scotland, but especially the battlefield of Culloden Moor. The Jacobites were defeated on Culloden Moor on April 16, 1746, and the battle was especially bloody. The fight itself only took 1 hour. It left behind many ghosts which can be seen and heard on the anniversary of the battle. During other times in the year, a battle-dazed man can be found wandering the moor. A man in his tartans has been seen lying injured on the ground, as well as many other soldiers. No birds sing or visit the site of the battle anymore. This is the site of one of the American Civil War's bloodiest, grisliest battles. Lasting from May 31 to June 12, 1864, over 16,000 soldiers died in the battle and a large number of the dead were never properly buried. And it's guessed that from this lack of burial comes the abundance of ghosts. People who visit the battlefield claim they have felt the shock of cannons going off, they can hear the sounds of soldiers and horses, and can even smell gunpowder in the air. These sightings aren't just linked to the anniversary of the battle, however. These supernatural experiences occur regularly throughout the year. The beach of Dieppe, France was the site of Operation Jubilee, a precursor to Operation D-Day. This was carried out by Allied forces to claim a major port, and more importantly to the mission, prove that it was possible to take the beach from the Germans. The raid was a disaster and 4,000 soldiers lost their lives. There had been very little reported sightings of any ghosts or noises in the area, but once while camping a couple were woken by gunfire sometime after 4 in the morning, roughly when the raid started. What they heard was soldiers fighting out the battle. The couple could distinguish what the soldiers were saying and wrote down everything they heard. Historians then confirmed that the couple had heard the whole battle play out, down to the minute. This battle for Belgian territory was held in World War I for 3 months, July to November in 1917. During the battle, over 400,000 people lost their lives, and it's estimated that around 100,000 soldiers were never identified or even buried due to the terrain being especially treacherous. Around the battlefield and village, the sounds of the battle can be heard, including screams and gunfire. This was a battle between US cavalry and the Lakota tribe in 1876. There were no survivors from the US cavalry. Visitors to the site have seen soldiers reenacting the battle, can smell gunpowder and hear the cries of soldiers. Even more creepily, visitors have also reported having hallucinations of the battle firsthand and have experienced overwhelming feelings of despair. In 1862, this battle was fought on a sunken road between 2 farms for only 4 hours as part of the US Civil War. Despite the short time frame, over 23,000 soldiers were killed, injured, or reported missing. It's reported that no matter how many people are present or how busy the area is, the site of the battlefield is absolutely silent except for the sounds of gunfire and drumming. The road, now called Bloody Lane, smells of gunpowder, and soldiers are frequently seen wandering the road. Blue lights can be seen at night moving in time with the aforementioned drum beats. A church nearby was where some of the wounded were taken to be looked after, and it's said that the floorboards are so stained with blood that not even a sander can get rid of the stains. As part of the English War of the Roses, a battle was fought in Toten in 1461. A stream nearby, Cockbeck, ran red with blood from the battle. Over 30,000 soldiers died in the battle, which also took place in the middle of a large and heavy snowstorm. Every 7 years it's said that Toten has a similar snowstorm. If you walk into the storm, you'll see the soldiers battling it out again over several hours. Brownsville has been the site of 7 battles, including battles as part of the Civil War and the Mexican War. The Civil War battle took place in 1863, and it's unclear how many soldiers were injured or died, but there were over 8,000 soldiers involved. People have reported hearing the usual gunfire and shouts from the site of the battles, but the sighting that stands out the most is reported by a young couple, Barb and Cameron Dexter, who had parked their truck in the middle of the night. When they awoke, they heard gunfire close by. Rather than drive away immediately, they got out of the truck to investigate. They were soon surrounded by what they said looked like corpses in Confederate uniforms. They ran back into the truck, and once daylight broke, they could see the truck was covered in bloody handprints. More than 50,000 soldiers died over 3 days at the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. There are hundreds of reported ghost sightings on this battlefield and the surrounding town, and the hauntings are the subject of several books and documentaries. Beds are reported to shake during the night, doors slam, ghostly figures walk through rooms where people are staying. People report hearing screams, and at points it's said that it sounds like you're standing in the middle of the battlefield, with hundreds of people dying around you. During the filming of the movie Gettysburg, some extras were approached by a man who smelt like gunpowder. They assumed he was another extra, but he handed them some bullets that weren't being used as props for the movie, and were later confirmed to be from the actual time period the battle had taken place. One of the most famous and most seen ghosts is the man who haunts the Devil's Den, a rocky outcrop close to the battlefield. He always says the same thing: what you're looking for is over there.
Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button just there? If you've been subscribed for a while, then hit that bell icon to get all the latest updates about our channel. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! From a cottage that smells like burning flesh to 15 people all saying they saw a ghost at once. Join us as we take a terrified look at Australia's most haunted places.
The building that houses the National Film and Sound Archive in Canberra was once the Australian Institute of Anatomy, where human body parts were preserved for research. It's this direct link to death that gives this property the title of one of the most haunted places in Australia. It is believed that the hundreds of body parts that were once housed here have imparted their spirit and still haunt the place today. People say that ghosts still wander the hallways, and reports of strange sounds and whispers are not uncommon. The downstairs corridor that once housed human skulls is said to be the hub of some major paranormal activity. A contractor claims he was pinned against a wall by some invisible force while doing some routine work at the property. Boggo Road Jail was once home to some of the country's toughest inmates and criminals. Until 1913, it included an execution chamber. It also housed Ellen Thompson, the only woman ever to be hanged in Queensland. Now running as a historic site, tourgoers often report hearing strange screams and noises, and seeing people standing in abandoned hallways. Given its long and dark history, Boggo sure does have some creepy ghost tales surrounding it. One ghost tour guide, who's responsible for taking hundreds of tourists through the facility each year, recalls the night up to 15 people saw a strange shadowy figure standing by a gate. At first, one man spotted the entity and notified the guide. Seconds later, the majority of the group agreed that there was indeed something standing just meters from them. No one else was in the locked facility apart from the tour group. A young boy became so distressed by what he saw that he began to vomit uncontrollably. The Princess Theatre in Melbourne is said to be haunted by a former performer who died during a performance. In March 1888, baritone Frederick Frederici was performing a rendition of Faust in which he played Mephistopheles. In the final act, Mephistopheles and Faust are lowered into the gates of hell through a trapdoor in the stage. However, as soon as Federici was lowered, he suffered a heart attack and died on the spot. What's surprising and creepy at the same time is that even though Federici died before the play ended, he was allegedly seen thanking the audience at the end of the play with the remaining cast. Notable actors such as Bert Newton, Marina Pryor and Lisa McCune all claim they've had a run-in with Federici. To this day, the theatre reserves a front row seat for him for all opening night performances. The entire town of Picton in New South Wales is reportedly one of Australia's most haunted places. Famous ghost tours used to run through the town during the late 90s to around 2011, when council restriction forced them to close down. The abandoned Redbank Range train tunnel is a hive of reported paranormal activity. The mountain underpass is 180 metres of pitch black nothing. The high number of suicides and murders that have taken place near the tunnel forced its closure in 1919. People often report light and shadows around the tunnel's entrance, strange cold winds and screams. Emily Bollard, a young teen who committed suicide here, is often seen wandering around late at night before disappearing into the nearby forest. The Devil's Pool in Babinda, far north Queensland may seem like a stunning natural swimming pool, but it's actually extremely dangerous and has claimed at least 17 lives. Ancient Aboriginal stories tell of a woman who committed suicide here after she was separated from the love of her life. It's said that her ghost still haunts the area and has been known to attract men towards the deadly pool of water. Since 1959, this place has claimed 17 lives, all but one have been male. While reckless behaviour and dangerous undercurrents are a contributing factor to the deaths, it's eerie that so many have been men. With all the tourists, businessmen and hikers falling afoul here, it's easy to wonder about the siren's call luring so many men to their death. The Seppertsfield Winery in the Barossa Valley has become known as one of the most haunted places in South Australia. A former owner of the winery reportedly went insane after spending long periods of time in his private retreat, hidden behind a trophy cellar. Guests often report sensations of someone watching them. Others have said they've heard mysterious gunshots and screams from the vineyards. An old distillery tower has been heard in full production despite no connected electricity. There have been moans and whispers and even reports of blood seeping from the family mausoleum on the anniversary of family deaths. This small parish just west of Sydney is said to be haunted by the spirits of twin boys. After a prank with fire went horribly wrong, the two boys were burnt alive. It's said that their spirits become enraged whenever a fire is lit near the church. Many visitors have said that their car headlights will inexplicably turn off when approaching the old church. Some say their cars have stalled altogether, leaving them in pitch black near the haunted parish. The Fremantle Arts Centre in Western Australia is said to be one of the most actively haunted places in the Southern Hemisphere. Originally built as an insane asylum in 1861, this foreboding Gothic landmark has a rather sordid history. The building was built entirely by convicts. In its heyday, the institution housed thousands of inmates, including an unusually high amount of women. After numerous questionable deaths, the local government recommended it be shut down. During World War II, it was converted into a base for US forces. In the late 1960s, the site was commissioned to become a museum for the local area. Since then, numerous ghost hunters have investigated the site. They claim that there may be up to 10 spirits that haunt the halls of this former asylum. Reports of whispers, objects moving, cold spots and spectres are not uncommon for the Fremantle Arts Centre. Anthony Grzelka, also known as Australia's Ghost Whisperer, claims he saw a full-figure apparition while staying the night in one of the cells. It was a sinister force that seemed to him to be a former warden. He said the air grew cold and he felt very uneasy. It was later revealed that several security guards refused to enter that part of the centre after a couple said they were pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. Another tale tells of a young girl who was accidentally locked in one of the cells. She pleaded to be let out and screamed for help, and as she did so, witnesses claimed that every window in the area started vibrating violently as doors opened and closed over and over. Blundell's Cottage in Canberra is so old that the city it's located in didn't even exist when it was first built in 1858. In 1892, former owner Flora Blundell was wearing a white crinoline dress that caught fire from a hot iron. She tragically burnt to death. It is said that she's often seen in a nearby garden standing in the same white dress looking at the house. Frequent tour groups have reported that the house sometimes smells like burnt flesh. Built in 1885, the Monte Cristo homestead is considered one of the most haunted places in Australia. Located in Junee, New South Wales, about 3 hours west of Canberra, this old homestead has some chilling stories attached to it. The current owner, Olive Ryan, who moved in 50 years ago, said she knew there was something strange about the place very early on. When Miss Ryan and her late husband first drove to the property, the house was completely lit up despite no electricity connected to the home. Miss Ryan has often felt disembodied hands, heard footsteps in an empty house, and felt the presence of former owners. Many mysterious deaths have occurred on this property. Guests have reported strange lights late at night in the barn. It is said that a boy was burned alive in the horse stables, his screams still heard today. Another incident took place in the 60s when a gardener was shot dead by a young boy who was obsessed with the film Psycho. Another tale tells of a housemaid who dropped a baby down a staircase. She claims it was pushed out of her arms by an unseen force. Another housemaid committed suicide while pregnant, jumping off the second floor balcony. Visitors often feel like they're being watched or have seen shadow figures out the corner of their eye. There's even tales of a former housekeeper that kept his mentally unstable son in the outhouse for over 30 years. Tragedy lingers in the air at Monte Cristo Homestead, murder and sadness imprinted on the property, perhaps forcing the souls of the dead to drift eternally through the halls of this old mansion.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you can't get enough of the chilling content, then take your pick out of these two videos. Remember to follow us on all our socials at SlappedHam, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! From an alien sitting on the side of the road to a guy in a gas mask lurking in some bushes. Join us as we take a look at the 15 creepiest things ever found on Google Maps.
This image from Google Street View appears to show a small alien-like creature sitting by the side of the road. I'm fairly certain, however, this thing must have been set up as a joke as it seems to be wearing a tie-dyed t-shirt and bandana. Still, it makes for a very creepy image with its slender frame, long fingers and gigantic dark eyes. At first glance, this image taken from Google Earth seems to show nothing unusual, just the coastline of some quaint country town. But take a closer look at the area that the arrow's pointing to. It's the outline of what looks like a plane. If you zoom in, the object becomes even clearer. It looks exactly like a plane. If it is, how did it get there and what plane is it? Has this image from Google Earth captured the final resting place of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370? This unsettling image from Google Earth shows a blood-red lake on the outskirts of Tastiest city in Iraq. What could be causing the lake to show up this colour? Is it possible that it's a glitch in the imaging technology, or is this the real colour of the lake? If it is blood red, what's causing it? Could it be some sort of red algae infestation or something far more sinister? What do you think's causing the red colour? Let us know in the comments section below. At first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything out of the ordinary with this image from Google Street View until you take a closer look at the sewer grate. Is that a clown staring out into the street? It is possible that this photo is a prank, however it would be extremely difficult to pull off. How long was the person waiting down there for the Google Street View car to come by? A man in the sewer is creepy enough, but a man dressed as a clown? That's a whole new level of creepy. Want a balloon, Georgie? This bizarre image from Google Street View shows a person dressed in an orange jumpsuit running down the street. If you take a closer look at the individual's hands, they appear to be chained together. The person also looks as though they're wearing a balaclava. Has the Google Street View car captured an image of an escaped convict making a run for freedom? This image, captured on Google Maps, is unsettling to say the least. It shows the point where the sealed road ends and becomes gravel, seemingly stretching off into eternity. There's no signs of civilization around whatsoever. No houses, light poles, or even fences. The word hell can clearly be seen painted on the road with an arrow pointing down the dusty trail. There's very little information about where this photo was taken. If you have any information, we'd love to know. This photo appears to show two identical boys walking alongside a river. They must either be twins pulling the exact same pose, or it's a glitch in the photo overlay technology. Either way, it makes for a very creepy image. They both seem to be eerily staring up at the camera as if they know it's there, just waiting to have their photo taken. This image, taken from Google Street View, is very unsettling indeed. Judging by the surroundings in the photo, it appears to have been taken along an uninhabited stretch of road, possibly on the outskirts of a small country town. Although this photo could have easily have been staged, there is a chance it could be real. Why would they be standing around on the side of the road in strange masks? Could it be they're waiting for their next victim to drive by? This eerie image is an aerial view of the Wadi Salam cemetery in the holy city of Najaf, Iraq. Quite possibly the largest cemetery in the world, Wadi Salam is the resting place for millions of Muslims. Even though the town is one of the biggest in Iraq with a population of more than 600,000, there are far more in the cemetery with over 1 million graves on site. The cemetery stretches up for 10 kilometers along the valley, and this image makes for a creepy bird's eye view. This creepy street view image has captured something very strange. The individuals' identities are completely concealed, all but one wearing white overalls, and their faces are covered with black and white masks. It may be a hoax, but if it is, it's still very unnerving. What do you think? Has Google captured something sinister taking place, or is it just a harmless prank? This is another one of those images that appears to be normal at first glance, but after you stare at it for a few seconds, it becomes apparent. There is a baby all by itself on the pavement outside the Gucci store. No one else is in the photo, so where are the baby's parents? Could it be possible that the toddler crawled out of the store all on its own? Perhaps there is someone just out of shot or behind the pillar. What do you think's going on in this image? In 2010, this image captured on Google Maps created quite a stir on the internet. Taken outside the front of a house in Mannheim, southwest Germany, the picture shows what appears to be a naked man climbing out of the trunk of his car. The contents of the car seem to be by the fence, and there is a dog lying in the driveway. What is going on in this photo? Is this man simply fixing his taillight, or is it something more strange? The image received so much attention that Google subsequently removed it from its archives. This image, captured on Google Street View, is just downright creepy. It's almost certainly staged, but creepy nonetheless. Look at the zombie closest to the camera. He's actually standing inside a grave. Looking at the address in the top left-hand corner of the picture, it appears it was taken in front of a haunted house. Kudos to you, zombies. Kudos to you. In 2013, user NCAV posted this image on Reddit claiming it was evidence of a murder near his house in Almere, Netherlands. The picture, seen on Google Earth, appears to show two people with a dead body standing at the end of a pier. There looks to be a trail of blood left by the body as it was dragged along the ground. In addition to posting the photo, NCAV said that he had alerted the local police. After much internet speculation, the mystery was finally solved. Turns out it was just a couple taking their dog for a walk. If you zoom in on the image, you can see the body is actually just the dog lying on the pier. The blood trails are nothing more than water streaks left by the dog that had probably just jumped into the river. Even though this one is solved, it's still a creepy image, and unless you know the real story, it gives you chills just looking at it. This image is either the creepiest hoax of all time or the most unsettling picture ever taken. It shows a man wearing a gas mask crouched in the bushes alongside of a country road. There appears to be nothing but bushland all around. If he was simply posing for the camera, where did he come from? Has the Google Street View car captured a stalker waiting for an unsuspecting victim to take a stroll in the woods? Or is it just another well-orchestrated prank?
Well, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, why not watch our previous episode on this topic, 15 strangest things ever seen on Google Maps. There's a link right there, click it, enjoy it. Also, if you're new to the channel, why not hit that big old red subscribe button? And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! From a golden eagle snatching a child out of a park to a snowboarder being chased by a bear. These are 5 fake viral videos everyone thought were real.
This video shows a girl testing out her twerking skills. She dances around her apartment before doing a handstand against the doorway. What happens next set the internet on fire. News outlets and internet commentators went into overdrive, quickly spreading the footage far and wide. Soon the twerk girl that caught fire was all over social media. To date, this viral video has racked up more than 19 million views. However, the truth was later revealed. The entire video was set up by the marketing geniuses over at Jimmy Kimmel Live. They posted a short version of the video to a fake YouTube account and let it brew for 2 months. It got over 9 million views in less than a week. They then revealed the hoax on their show, airing a longer version that shows Jimmy Kimmel extinguishing the flaming twerker. This daredevil thought it'd be fun to film himself on a GoPro as he jumps off a cliff in Sydney Harbour, Australia. As he plunges into the water, his friends start screaming that there's a shark in the water. We then see terrifying images of the swimmer thrashing about in the water as a great white shark stalks nearby. As of now, this stunning footage has ticked up over 35 million views. The footage was later revealed to be a hoax created by a video production house called the Woolshed Company. They spliced in video images of a great white shark with the original GoPro footage to create this now famous fake viral video. This alarming footage was taken in a park in Montreal, Canada. It shows a man filming a golden eagle soaring through the sky above the park. The giant bird swoops on a nearby child and attempts to fly off with its prey. The man filming runs to their aid and luckily the child is unscathed. It was later revealed that the viral video was a fake. A group of students from Montreal's National Animation and Design Centre, Normand Acambeau, Loie Moreau and Felix Marquis-Poulin, created the short film for a project in their digital design class. Needless to say, they all got an A. Taken on a wrist camera, this snowboarder casually films her run down the mountain. What she doesn't realise is that there's a hungry bear just meters behind chasing her down the hill. This crazy footage quickly went viral, getting shared millions of times across social and traditional media. The incident, however, was soon outed as a fake. The previously mentioned production firm, the Woolshed Company, put their hands up for this one, proving yet again that they know how to make a video go viral. Just a quick warning with this one, even though the footage is fake, it still may be confronting for some of you to watch. The setting for this fake viral video is that a boyfriend has set up a camera to scare his girlfriend. When she returns home from shopping, he is dressed as a masked intruder and lunges at her. She runs from the house screaming. In a frenzy, she crosses the road and gets hit by a car. When this footage went live, everyone was convinced that it was a prank gone horribly wrong. It got shared millions of times as it spread across social media sites. Truthfully, however, it was a short film written and directed by former Project Greenlight winner Kyle Rankin.
Well, that's it for this list. Thank you so much for watching. Now, what do you think? Were you fooled by any of these fake viral videos? Let us know in the comments section below, because I'll be hanging around for 1 hour after this video goes live. We'll have a good chat about it. I can answer some of your questions. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pooh! From the things that lurk in your bed late at night to what happens when you turn the lights out. Join us as we take a look at 5 scary short films you can watch on YouTube.
This little gem has been around since 2010. Directed by Drew Daywalt, this bite-sized horror movie capitalizes on the fear of the unknown. It operates in that twilight consciousness that often occurs when we're woken up suddenly in the middle of the night, say by a strange phone call. Try watching this at 4 AM all alone, lights out. Released in 2015, this scary short film follows a young girl left alone in the house for the night. Things get creepy when she hears some strange noises and discovers a trail of balloons leading downstairs. Written and directed by AJ Briones, The Smiling Man won a ton of awards, including Best Super Short Film at Shriekfest 2015. I highly recommend this brief, well-made scarefest. This unnerving piece sets a bizarre tone with its striking visual style and distinct slow-burning soundscape. Released in 1997, this art house animation was written and directed by Robert Morgan. Morgan is a multi-award winning director best known for his BAFTA-winning short film The Separation, a short that was later re-edited and used as a music video for the band Tool. The man in the lower left-hand corner of the photograph follows a withered, unnamed protagonist, whose lonely existence is offset only by a single photograph of himself at a happier time. He sits alone in his dank, rotting apartment, his only friend a maggot that he feeds raw meat to. Occasionally, he'll peep through a hole in the wall spying on his neighbour, perhaps the only human contact he gets. While this scary short film isn't outright terrifying, its unsettling, nihilistic qualities seem to seep into your unconscious mind, leaving you with a sense of bleak malaise. I highly recommend watching this alone with a good set of headphones. This is a short experimental film created by Chris Cunningham. Released in 2005, this twisted short film follows lead character Johnny, a deformed, wheelchair-bound humanoid who lives in a dank basement. His only companion is a bulbous-eyed chihuahua that watches from the shadows. The 6-minute short film samples music from Aphex Twin and was originally intended to be a 30-second commercial for their album Drux. However, the director, Chris Cunningham, became infatuated with the concept and developed it into the short film we see today. Released in 2013, Lights Out is a scary short film written and directed by David F. Sandberg. It won Best Director at the BC's Who's There Horror Challenge. Uploaded to YouTube and Vimeo, the video went viral, garnering millions of views, attracting the attention of Hollywood. Ultimately, the short film was developed into a feature-length film of the same title, Lights Out, released in 2016. The tiny 2-minute 41 film packs a lot of intensity in such a short time. The story follows a woman as she prepares herself for bed. As she turns the lights off around the house, a shadow figure begins to appear. Things get more and more terrifying, leading to the final blood-chilling shot of the film. I suggest watching this film in a dark room all alone with the sound turned right up. Enjoy.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now, all the videos we mentioned today, their links are in the description box below. I highly recommend checking them out, turning the lights off and watching them all alone. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! The following photos are all hiding dark secrets. From kidnapped North Korean filmmakers to a 5-year-old mother and her baby. Join us as we take a look at 10 real photos that are hiding dark secrets.
At first glance, this photo of 3 men practicing martial arts seems completely normal, but take a closer look at the taller bearded man standing to the right. This is actually a photo of Osama bin Laden. His coach, Jimmy Woo, seen standing in the middle of the photograph, claimed that the 6'4" bin Laden attended judo lessons 2 to 3 times per week, but was too tall to be any good. Woo said he never saw bin Laden again after 1984. This photo was taken by a member of the crowd during the Trooping the Colour ceremony on the 13th of June 1981 in London, England. It shows Queen Elizabeth riding down the Mall on horseback. It seems like the photographer has captured nothing unusual until you notice the way the man standing to the left of the photo is clasping his outstretched hands. The man is Marcus Simon Sargent and he's holding a gun. Sargent fired 6 blank shots at the Queen, who was unharmed by the incident, but the horse she was riding was startled by the shots. Sargent was quickly detained by members of the Scots Guard and local police officers. Prior to the incident, Sargent had written a letter to Buckingham Palace warning of what he was about to do. The letter read, "Your Majesty, don't go on the Trooping the Colour ceremony because there is an assassin set up to kill you waiting just outside the palace." The letter didn't arrive at the palace until 3 days after the incident. It was later revealed that Sargent wanted to become famous and had been inspired by Mark David Chapman, the man who killed John Lennon. He was also fascinated with the assassination attempts on Pope John Paul II and Ronald Reagan. Sargent was sentenced to 5 years in jail but was released after only serving 3. He's since changed his name and begun a new life. This photo of ex-North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il standing between a smiling couple looks innocent enough. The truth is, however, that the couple in this picture were kidnapped by Kim and forced to make movies in North Korea. On January 22, 1978, actress Choi Yun-hee was the first of the pair to be abducted. While on a business trip to Hong Kong, she was taken to North Korea. Held against her will, she was placed in a villa and forced to learn about the life and achievements of Kim Jong-il's father, Kim Il-sung. 6 months later, famous South Korean film director Shin Sang-ok was kidnapped from Hong Kong after going in search of his former wife Choi. Shortly after being detained, Shin was imprisoned for 3 years for attempting to escape from North Korea. Neither Shin nor Choi were told of the fate of the other. Shin was eventually released, and on March 7, 1983, the two were finally reunited at a party hosted by Kim Jong-il. In 1986, after being forced to make films for the North Korean government for nearly a decade, the pair escaped their captors while on a trip to Vienna, managing to make their way to a US embassy. Unless you're a wrestling fan, you probably won't recognise the man in this photo. It is 2-time world champion Chris Benoit. The picture was taken by a fan who spotted him in a doctor's office in Carrollton, Georgia. Later that evening, Benoit, who was suffering depression at the time, went home and murdered his wife and 7-year-old son before committing suicide. Testing performed after his death revealed that Benoit's brain resembled that of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient. The damage, thought to be caused by years of repeated trauma, was even suggested by some to have led Benoit to murder his family and kill himself. Taken in 1939, this photo appears to show a nurse introducing a newborn baby to their sister for the first time. The truth is, however, the 5-year-old girl lying in bed is actually the mother of the newborn baby boy. Originally thought to have a tumour, Lena Marcela Medina was taken to hospital by her parents after suffering from increased abdominal swelling. Following extensive testing, the doctors confirmed that she was in fact 7 months pregnant. At the age of 5 years, 7 months and 21 days, Medina became the youngest known person in history to give birth, when her son was born by caesarean section on the 14th of May 1939. Her son, named Gerardo after her doctor, was raised until the age of 10 believing that Medina was his sister. It was discovered that Medina's body had undergone sexual maturation at an abnormally young age, a condition known as precocious puberty. Medina's father, Tiburello Medina, was arrested on suspicion of child sexual abuse, but was later released due to lack of evidence. Medina never revealed who the father was, and his identity has never been discovered. In 1972, Medina had her second child, a boy, some 33 years after giving birth to Gerardo. Gerardo died in 1979 of bone disease. He was just 40 years old. This photo was taken during World War II. By the looks on the boys' faces, conflict seems to be the last thing on their mind. The truth is that this moment spent patting a puppy with friends was probably a welcome distraction for what was about to come. The boy in the middle is 17-year-old Yukio Araki, and he was killed the following day. Araki was one of the youngest kamikaze pilots of World War II. He met his end when he flew his twin-engine Takikawa Ki-54 training aircraft into the USS Brain on May 27, 1945, killing 66 of its crew. In accordance with the custom of the kamikaze pilots, Araki clipped his fingernails and cut off a lock of his hair prior to the mission. They were sent to his parents along with a note that read, "Please find pleasure in your desire for my loyalty to the Emperor and devotion to parents. I have no regrets, I just go forward on my path." This photo was taken on the 6th of July 1944. The clown seen to the right of the image is Weary Willie, a famous character played by circus performer Emmett Kelly. He's carrying a bucket of water in one hand as he heads towards a fire. One of the worst fire disasters in the history of the United States, the Hartford Circus Fire occurred during an afternoon performance of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. As many as 8,000 people were on hand to see the show when a fire broke out near the entrance to the Big Top 20 minutes into the performance. The flames spread quickly, engulfing the tent roof, which was treated with paraffin wax and gasoline, a common waterproofing method at the time. The fire killed 167 people, most of whom were women and children. Kelly, through his quick thinking, managed to save many of the spectators by lifting up the side of the tent and guiding them outside to safety. This is a photo taken outside the Field Marshal's Hall in Munich, Germany sometime after 1933. The men lined up in the foreground are members of the infamous SS paramilitary unit, taking their oath of loyalty to Adolf Hitler. The SS and its subdivisions were responsible for policing the German people, enforcing Nazi ideology and running the concentration and extermination camps, where an estimated 5.5 to 6 million Jews along with millions of other victims were killed. At the time, all citizens that passed by the Field Marshal's Hall were expected to salute, but those that wanted to bypass the monument could take a nearby street that became known as Shirker's Lane. This is a still taken from an episode of The Dating Game in 1978. The smiling couple are bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw and Rodney Alcala, the man who beat the other contestants to win a date with Bradshaw. After the show, despite the initial on-camera smiles, Bradshaw decided not to go out with Alcala, saying she found him creepy. Breaking her date with Alcala may have actually saved her life. Alcala was accepted to appear on The Dating Game despite being a convicted rapist and registered sex offender. Unbeknownst to all, the extent of his crimes were far worse. Rodney Alcala was actually in the middle of a murder spree. It wasn't until Alcala was arrested the following year and found guilty of the murder of 12-year-old Robin Samso that the horrific truth finally came out. After an extensive investigation, Alcala was officially charged with 7 counts of murder committed between 1971 and 1979. However, one homicide investigator familiar with the evidence speculated that the majority of his murders may have gone unsolved. He estimated that Alcala may have killed as many as 50 women, while others have claimed his murder count may be as high as 130. Joe Villapiano was out hiking with his girlfriend Nicole Gergen and brother-in-law Peter Biava when he took this photo of the surrounding bushland. Unbeknownst to Villapiano at the time, he had also photographed another hiker, one barely conscious and clinging to life. The previous day, 22-year-old Sailor Juliams had fallen, fracturing her leg. Her friend, Brendan Vega, who was with her at the time, tried to carry her. He also fell, breaking his elbow and breaking Juliams' ankle. Unable to move, Juliams lay there while Vega went for help. By the time the hikers came through the following day, Juliams was almost unconscious, in pain and exhausted from yelling. It wasn't until Villapiano's girlfriend, Nicole Gergen, noticed Juliams' red hair that they knew someone was down there. Gergen, a 4th-year resident in pediatrics at Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island, could see Juliams was badly injured and needed immediate medical attention. The group managed to call for help and Juliams was airlifted to Cottage Hospital in Southern California. 2 days after being rescued, Juliams received the terrible news that her friend Brendan Vega had been found dead. It was thought he fell while attempting to get help.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you can't get enough of the creepy photos, head on over to one of these 2 playlists right there. You'll definitely get your creep fix. Remember to follow us on all our social medias @SlappedHam. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.